The Redemption Inquiry by Michael Diamond. Part 2, Winds of Change. Chapter 7, Adam's Prank. Our hero regroups in a cave beneath his parents' digs in Champaign-Urbana. He scoops up an armful of technology that will deploy at the Redemption. From his remote location, he demos his firepower by inducing a FabLab at the University of Pittsburgh to generate a life-size set of human sculptures on the floor next to the 3D printer, as seen through the snooping eyes of a friendly spy who recollects that fateful time from her perspective as one of the redeemed. "Go with it," Adam pronounces to no one in particular. The creator of the future Leviathan's 4D graphics so loves mankind that he spends every waking hour trying to save their sorry asses from themselves. He pours hour upon interminable hour over one HoloCAD rendering after another. It really makes you want to root for the guy. Although he's a prankster with a wry sense of humor, Adam is not a happy man. By some quirk of metaphysics, Adam's doom is to feel the ebb and flow of the pain of all humanity at every moment of his waking life. Nothing more, nothing less. No filters. A world of pain. Another part of the reason he couldn't stay in college, why he'd engineered his own expulsion. Just being in a room with a small cadre of his own species is profoundly grating to his supersensitive psyche. The pain volume cranked to the max. His parents had homeschooled him, though they had only the vaguest intimations as to his gnawing emotional sensitivity. The most painful moment in all of Adam's childhood is his bar mitzvah. There's no way around it. No such thing as a virtual bar mitzvah according to Mosaic law. If Adam could have sent an avatar, he would have. Until the redemption, we are all nothing but avatars. Yes, you and I both. Watchers all. Young Adam Saperstein excelled in Judaic studies. He was a savant for languages as well as religious discourse. Before his 13th birthday, he could do pilpul, the arcane stylistics of Talmudic argument, with the best of his tutors. His knowledge of dikduk, the picayune game of Hebrew grammar, is perfect. He sheds sweat and blood to absorb obscure Kabbalistic and Hasidic tracts. Interlocking matrices of hidden meaning hold a special fascination for the young coder. Word got out about the weird little Bucher, Yiddish for student, in his yeshiva of one, a bookworm living in a self-created spiritual wormhole. Rabbis from nearby yeshivot pop in for chats. By the time of his big day at the Bima, the ornate wooden podium at the front of the synagogue, a veritable crowd of distinguished acolytes has assembled to hear their young genius's performance. It's a horror show. Only by squinching his eyes to make the crowd a blur, and by speaking at the speed of light, is Adam able to even begin to lead the service and lane the entire Torah portion himself. But when it's time for his scholarly discourse, the bland-as-toast suburban rabbi from his parents' synagogue makes a serious error in judgment. He tells Adam to slow down, take a breath, and smile at all the nice people who've come to hear him. Adam's parents carry him home in a catatonic stupor. The crowd of rabbis and scholars mob the bima to score a glimpse of the two mind-blowing lyrical pages of text the boy has left behind in the kerfluffle. On the possibility of direct interaction with matter, there's so much on my mind. I don't know how to distill it. What retort would suffice? What element could coax the condensate into visibility? What sorcery? What alchemy? What artifice? As soon as I postulate any of these devices, the game is over. Coherence is lost. What irony! The self can only be found in incoherence. A descent from that vaporous stuff of which everything consists. We murder to create. Cain, the original maker of things, the lineage of all craft. Fratricide. The other one, whose name means vapor, struck down by a brother's hand. It's impossible to escape the irony. Irony, the enemy of novelty. The preacher said, "Vapor, vapor, all is vapor. We are vapor, all of technology, in an attempt to deny the fact of it. An unknown body is found in a field. What is the procedure? A city is besieged. Its fruit trees must not be cut down. So many genres of murder. So few places of refuge. Better to be afraid and soft-hearted. Better to offer terms of peace. But we will build our silicon idols and hope that the sorcerers will sustain us. In the end, we are all judges. It cannot be helped. From the first I want to the last I won't. What ship? What compass? What great art?" On the practice of indirect interaction with matter, the man of vapor has been slain and the maker banished. Who remains? The forebear of humanity, a thorn tree, a garment, devastation, the foundation of nations, the seat of the body, the warp of the loom, an appointment to keep. The more creative form of murder, the scattered pieces of the corpse. Recollection, a funerary rite, the resurrection of the slain man until the next swinging of the scythe. Culture, I hear its blade singing in my ear against the soft fall of sheaves. The harvest gives rise to powerful intoxicants. We drink to forget, but the preacher reminds us. The water cycle, what changes, what is lost, what keeps us going, what stops us, what's stopping you. The rabbis and scholars, at first dumbfounded, take Adam's metaphysical ball and run with it. Adam never sees any of it. Not the new schools of theology and philosophy, not the academies of public discourse, not the reams of published commentary. From that point forward, it's back to homeschooling for the neurotic little boy chick. Back home once again, on his own after the expulsion from U of I, Adam discovers that neurofeedback works reasonably well to keep the pain down to a dull roar. At some point in his studies, at home, he has an epiphany. The pain isn't his. He had always thought of it as pain qua pain, and not given it further thought. His realization is triggered by watching a 1968 Star Trek episode that he fishes out of the cyber archives as part of a sci-fi binge in the solitude of his basement digs. A story about empaths and physically receiving other people's pain. It's pretty simple-minded, too irritating to watch most of it, but he gets the idea about the dark side of empathy, the painful effects of channeling feelings that don't belong to you. So on the side, while he's been reviewing the cybernetics curricula of an entire universe of academic institutions, he's also taken a detour into the world of meditation, mind-body medicine, and the psychobiology of self-hacking. Adam becomes an adept at identifying the specific loci from which the pain signal emanates that reaches his brain. Turns out there is a homology, a one-to-one mapping between his body and the globe. Adam accepts the fact of it without objection. He learns to practice geospatially guided Tonglen, a Buddhist compassion meditation that offloads the pain of another and dissolves it in a reservoir of universal compassion. Point by point, the focused heart incinerates woe. Beautiful and simple. It feels good, helps him stay sane. Gaia's 10,000 vortices pain map. Adam has a sense that the pain game, as he thinks of it, is like the game called Nim, in which two people take turns crossing out vertical strokes arrayed in a matrix. The object of the game is to force your opponent to cross out the last stroke. A global game of hot potato. Like the ancient Israelite priest who performs the inexplicable rite of the red heifer. The priest purifies the supplicant of corpse contamination, but is himself contaminated in return and is so self-exiled. Bigger picture, It is the same Torah portion about the red heifer that we see Moses, who leads 600,000 Israelites through the wilderness to cross the border to the Promised Land, forever barred entry to that land. The assigned quote-unquote loser is left out in the cold to bear the karma of the others, or perhaps, as favored by the vast majority of mankind, to zone out by any means possible. Adam's classmates at Illinois coded every form of cyberdelic distraction, but Adam diverged. As fate would have it, he turns out to be just the man for the job in the cosmic pain juggling department. His technology will hit its mark at the redemption, the end of pain. Adam's armchair adventures in cyber technology are set to a soundtrack of 70s proto-techno. Yes, ELP, Tangerine Dream, King Crimson, Kraftwerk. An insistent buzz just beneath the skin keeps the labor moving along nicely, while Adam hacks into one illustrious computer science department after another. What better way to acquire the toys he both needs and wants? A steady supply of soy shakes peppered with a complete range of nutritional additives, a high-res surround projection system, and an archive of every sci-fi movie and TV show ever produced. A cybermonk with a fluorescent tan. One of us. The shopping expedition takes the better part of 2 weeks in toto, so Adam really has to cocoon in. With a swipe of the cursor, the tap of a finger, and the blink of an eye, he takes possession of department after department of cutting-edge research technology and ticks them off his list. Texas A&M Center for Robotic-Assisted Search and Rescue. UNC Chapel Hill's Graphics and 3D Vision Laboratory. WashU's Cyber Physical Systems Lab. UC Santa Barbara's Crowdsourcing the World project. Pitt's Nanocomputing Network. Penn State's Institute for Networking and Security Research and the Institute for Cyber Science. Hopkins Information Security Institute. Cybel's own Cave 3, a next-gen virtual reality interface in 3D. That was one sweet steal. UC Irvine's Center for Machine Learning and Intelligent Systems. Brown's Immersive Virtual Reality Cave. All the work of Chicago's ancient giant Laszlo Babai, the originator of graph isomorphism in quasi-polynomial time. Adam pauses, a moment of awe, as he contemplates Penn's archives on the electronic numerical integrator and computer, the first ever electronic computer designed for general use in the 1940s. J. Prisper Eckert and John Mauchly begat ENIAC, which begat BINAC, which begat UNIVAC, a thesis in cyber cosmology. He continues. Wisconsin's Cloud Lab 3 condensed handily into Adam's database. Caltech was a bonanza, the Institute for Quantum Information and Matter, the Center for the Mathematics of Information, and the Applied Geometry Lab. Adam also reaped the largesse of historic cyber moguls and philanthropists Bill and Melinda Gates, tapping into well-funded dynasties at Cornell and Carnegie Mellon. Gates's alma mater, Harvard, contributed to Adam's armamentarium with magic arts from the Center for Integrated Quantum Materials and the Institute for Quantum Science and Engineering. Not to be outdone, number 2 billionaire from the original software giant Microsoft, Paul Allen, funded an equally impressive array of efforts at the once obscure University of Washington. The materials Adam found most useful there were in computational synthetic biology and age progression software. At Columbia University, the Fu Foundation School of Engineering and Applied Science provided crucial developmental insights in brain-muscle-computer interface and social networking algorithms. Stanford's money men chipped in with financial algorithms. Last but by no means least was a cornucopia of gifts of the cyber magi at MIT's Media Center and the Center for Bits and Atoms. Adam feels like a geezer in a porn shop, snatching up and ferreting away each nasty bit of cybernautical booty as fast as he can download it. His salivary glands work overtime, dumping nerve growth factor directly into his steaming bloodstream as he digests program after intoxicating program. Machines that can make machines, programmable surfaces, nano, micro, milli biomimicry, nano-assembler, a quantum biological flea circus, microelectronic devices as wildly sensitive as the nose of a fly, microfluidic genome transplantation, an enormous, delicate DNA molecule inserted from one cell into another, digital materials for building the strongest and most adaptable of self-assembling structures out of repeating functional bits, and a vast array of remote sensing technologies for picking up the minutest of signals via anything, and I mean anything, internet ready or not. What really impresses Adam was that almost a century before his own incursions, this MIT dude, Neil Gershenfeld, had already woven the fabric for the matrix of matter, MOM, information transfer through any and all physical materials, bypassing the need for devices and networks. It made the Internet of Things look like child's play. The Dark Age had shut down the dissemination of all forms of knowledge, unless it benefited the corporate overlords. PsyOps has tunnel vision. Its only aim is the bullseye of fast cash. The moguls are profoundly disinterested in what they see as unexploitable cyber voodoo. In Adam's capable hands, MOM rises again. Adam's concept of AI is sophisticated beyond the dreams of the most advanced computer scientists and philosophers of mind. He plasters his cyber monastery with handmade posters of his three heroes: Elmer Green, the inventor of biofeedback; Max Planck, the discoverer of energy quanta; and Alan Turing, the father of modern computing. Not only does he thoroughly exploit the technology spawned by these minds, but he is also enthralled by their idiosyncratic notions of spirit. The fact that they do not shy away from quote-unquote spooky stuff fills his aberrant geek heart with awe. 3 posters are his mandalas, the inextricable entanglements of spirit and matter. Poster 1. A problem for many, however, arises with the word spirit. Some feel that there is no such thing, or that in the absence of scientific evidence, we should not refer to spirit. Others say the world is the world, the spirit is the spirit, and ne'er the twain shall meet. To speak of the central nervous system as the abode of the gods is, in their view, sacrilegious. The late Indian existentialist and philosopher Sri Aurobindo resolved the problem, however. According to the yogic theory, there is no problem because the finite, unknowable God, Brahman, which lies behind all manifestation, can be known only as his body, Brahma, which is all manifestation. And Brahma is composed, says Aurobindo, 1955, of a continuum of energies from densest physical matter to most rarefied spirit. The twain meet because they were never separate. Aurobindo suggests that if we are embarrassed by the word spirit, we should not use it. Instead, we should speak of the subtlest form of matter. On the other hand, if we are not embarrassed, we can think of matter as the densest form of spirit. From Biofeedback and Human Potential by Elmer Green, Ph.D., in Energy Medicine Around the World, edited by T.M. Srinivasan, Ph.D., Gabriel Press, Phoenix, 1988. Poster number 2. As a man who has devoted most his whole life to the most clear-headed science in the study of matter, I can tell you as a result of my research about the atoms this much. There is no matter as such. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force which brings the particles of an atom to vibration and holds this most minute solar system of the atom together. we must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent spirit. This spirit is the matrix of all matter. From Das Wesen der Materie, The Nature of Matter, a 1944 speech in Florence, Italy. Archiv zur Geschichte der Max Planck Gesellschaft. Abt war Rep 11 Planck, number 17971. Poster number 3. The argument from extrasensory perception against machine intelligence. I assume that the reader is familiar with the idea of extrasensory perception and the meaning of the 4 items of it, that is, telepathy, clairvoyance, precognition, and psychokinesis. These disturbing phenomena seem to deny all our usual scientific ideas. How we should like to discredit them! Unfortunately, the statistical evidence, at least for telepathy, is overwhelming. It is difficult to rearrange one's ideas so as to fit these new facts in. Once one has accepted them, it does not seem a very big step to believe in ghosts and boogies. The idea that our bodies move simply according to the known laws of physics, together with some others not yet discovered but somewhat similar, would be one of the first to go. This argument is to my mind quite a strong one. One can say in reply that many scientific theories seem to remain workable in practice, in spite of clashing with ESP, that in fact one can get along very nicely if one forgets about it. This is rather cold comfort, and one fears that thinking is just the kind of phenomenon where ESP may be especially relevant. A more specific argument, based on ESP, might run as follows. Let us play the imitation game, using as witnesses a man who is good as a telepathic receiver and a digital computer. The interrogator can ask such questions as, what suit does the card in my right hand belong to? The man, by telepathy or clairvoyance, gives the right answer 130 times out of 400 cards. The machine can only guess at random, and perhaps gets 104 right, so the interrogator makes the right identification. There is an interesting possibility which opens here. Suppose the digital computer contains a random number generator, but then it will be natural to use this to decide what answer to give. But then the random number generator will be subject to the psychokinetic powers of the interrogator. Perhaps this psychokinesis might cause the machine to guess right more often than would be expected on a probability calculation, so that the interrogator might still be unable to make the right identification. On the other hand, he might be able to guess right without any questioning by clairvoyance. With ESP, anything may happen. If telepathy is admitted, it will be necessary to tighten up our test. The situation could be regarded as analogous to that which would occur if the interrogator were talking to himself and one of the competitors was listening with his ear to the wall. To put the competitors into a quote-unquote telepathy-proof room would satisfy all requirements. From Turing, A.M., Computing Machinery and Intelligence. Adam Saperstein, beautiful soul that he is not the most physically attractive man. Obese, acneed, covered with peach fuzz, and sartorially challenged. Nonetheless, he is the hands-down stealth favorite, head and pimply shoulders above the rest, the best 4D graphic designer the first quarter of the 22nd century has ever known. This is a generally acknowledged truth throughout the massive multiplex matrix, the system that has for over 100 years replaced the World Wide Web, only recently rebooted. signaling the end of Dark Age. It will eventually morph to cross the cyber divide and reach into the material world based on work done at MIT's Center for Bits and Atoms in the 21st century. It is Adam who kickstarts the 4D graphics revolution with his own souped-up version of CAD, computer-assisted design. It not only designs buildings, but builds them. Not miniature, but full-scale buildings that build themselves at whatever location you program them for. Adam is the one who will ultimately realize the von Neumann universal constructor, for the first time enabling an AI program to stably reproduce itself. But that's only after he earns a stint on the Pittsburgh nanocomputer. Adam is the ace of CAD. CADman is his handle on the massive multiplex matrix. A loyal following anxiously awaits his every creation. The Fabocracy, a global network of 3D printing hackers, now several generations on, operates outside the Aquarian hegemony. 3D printing like mad in their monastic cells, they midwife a second renaissance, humanity's last shot at saving itself from extinction. In the 22nd century, Adam is their demiurge, as he is ours. Nobody knows that he does it all from the basement of his parents' home in Champaign-Urbana. So when Adam makes a bid for time on the nanocomputer at the University of Pittsburgh, his disruptive creativity and innovation win him more than a second glance. Time on the nanocomputer is a winning the lottery and Nobel Prize wrapped into one. Back when the Nobel meant something. The supplicant's fate is determined by a group of earnest and well-meaning academics, scientists, philosophers, historians, artists, composers, literary critics, who review the proposal on its own merits and for its potential niche in the pantheon of current awardees. Time is the currency at hand. Adam, still the prankster, plots a cyber busking demonstration of his wares, a preview. He hacks Pitt's Department of Sociology FabLab. It's vulnerable, and that's all that matters. He crowdsources a virtual supercomputer by linking the desktops of everyone in his vast network at the designated time. Working from photographs easily found on the matrix, he fabs life-size replicas of each of the current members of the Nanocomputer Review Committee and orients them not within the confines of the prototype machine, but in the middle of the lab, standing in a cyber fairy circle, hands linked in blissful anticipation, plain as day for anyone with a cyber eye to see. When Maya Duberstein, the dungeon master of the Department of Sociology FabLab, rolls into work on Monday, she startles when she cranks up the light. She's been bopping along to a slammin' cyber recording of her friend Sita, injected directly into her brain through her cochlear earpod. Lovely Sita, rock star of the written and spoken word, also a world-class expert in cyber law. Right now, Maya is grooving to Sita's anarchic riff, her anthem, Awful Grace, a hymn to entropy. Awful karmic escape, runaway flywheel, come careening through my life. Times you set my teeth on edge, times I'm just too weary to blaze your havoc trail. My teacher tells me I'm like her, tarry while the wheel gathers force. Look to the high places for my help. I delay, I procrastinate, I expatiate. I am dilatory, I am redshifted, incomplete and disorganizing. I am beauty in chaos, profound and expansive. I am part of the first part sprung from primordial broth, eternal soup. My chef, my teacher, my ally in creation. Then she sees it. The circle of insanely happy people holding hands in a daisy chain. She recognizes one of them, Dean Alperowitz, head of the Arts and Sciences faculty, a comp lit prof, specialist in 20th century Japanese nihilism. Maya was a comp lit undergrad and then a sociology grad student at Pitt, though she'd deliberately never taken a course with Dean A. A bit too heavy on the retronormative lit crit for her taste. Her life's passion leads her to design an interdisciplinary major. She's obsessed with the phenomenon of marginalization. African American, adoptive Jewish parents, transgendered, and non-neurotypical to boot. Even in the 22nd century, she gets a righteous dose of marginalization. Maya was notorious for having invented a controversial new nomenclature for gender, as nuanced and freighted as the parsing of race in 19th century Brazil. Nobody's sure whether or not it's tongue-in-cheek, another example of Maya's wicked deadpan wit. Her rapier-like intellect leaves readers skewered and clueless. Quote, "A modest proposal for a novel nomenclature regarding gender categories," unquote, is an underground hit. It goes viral on the Matrix. At least 3 of her neologisms take root. Esteroon, 1/8 gendered female who passes in either direction but prefers female partners. Festizo, polysemous, polymorphic, polyamorous playmate guaranteed for good times. And testuda, a hidden gendered, asexual, phenotypic, autogamous male derivative. The terms have barely been coined when aficionados of every description come pouring out of the woodwork to satisfy the pent-up demand for labeling every human being according to how they feel about their genitals, what they do with them, and to whom. Unfortunately for our heroine, faculty positions in sociology are rare as hen's teeth. Maya's prowess as a Matrix autodidact and her massive organizational skills snag her the job at the FabLab. The fact that Dine's wife had been her advisor in the Soc department definitely put her in the plus column. Maya takes a ginger step forward to greet Dean Alperovitz, but freezes in her tracks. The dancers in the circle are motionless. A chill runs down her spine. Then she notices the flesh tone, a little too uniform. Fascination has her in its grip. The look on her face, priceless. Alternate flickers of shock, amusement, delight, and puzzlement. She fingers the cornrows that abut her bright purple frohawk. Certain that someone must be watching, she glances around nervously. She's right. It's you, us, we, among the tens of thousands of cybersecurity apparatchiks staring through every available portal at every other one of our fellow beings on the planet. You know who you are. I am one of you, thrilled and horrified by the rise of Cadman. And this, his little demo right here in the Sociology FabLab. That's why you're focusing on this bit of narrative, fascinated by the inevitable collapse of cyber hegemony, even though now, in the time of the redemption, we all laugh at the Sturm und Drang of it. I am the systems administrator. I see what the Cadman has wrought during his now famous all-night distributed nanocomputer tryout, and I see you seeing him. We are all so unbearably curious. We're compelled to let it play out, though it violates every tenet of our hiring agreements. And now, from the point of view of the redemption, I'd have to say it's a damn good thing we did. Don't you agree? I, Chaya Mushki-Kliansky, for one, bless the Creatrix in her infinite wisdom that this little neurotic schlub figured out as much as he did. I admit it, I was rooting for the boychick, against the very systems I am sworn to protect and uphold. Plain as the nose on my virtual face, he's acting outside of Matrix protocol. You must admit it was a wild-ass bet how it was going to turn out, no matter how inevitable it appears now that the redemption has arrived. But back then, a delicious tickling sensation in the now of knowing and not knowing simultaneously. Maya is still freaked out that whoever has done this may still be in the lab, waiting for her to react. She's delightfully unaware that you and I are right there. With her, in the infospace, tracking every move she makes. The other 3 people in the circle are unfamiliar faces, the Nanocomputer Advisory Board. Nanocomputing is not her thing. The idea of calling security flits through Maya's already overcrowded head. But this is way too new and strange for the rent-a-cops. Maya nods to herself as she thrums her fingertips against her lips. A more nuanced assessment. Yes. Best to bounce it off her philosophy buddy. a mind with an appreciation for the weird equal to hers. And the weird has most definitely landed here in all its geeky wonder. She needs a power nerd with a worldly bent, a fellow obsessive. She knows exactly who she's got to call. Krishna.